Hi, Ray Hayden here, and this video is going to be an unboxing of the BarBri California Bar Exam materials. Now, this is the second unboxing I've done on that, and I've already popped the top and everything and looked at everything, so it's there. I'll show you what's in here. But I had already made a video on the February 2020 bar exam. I signed up for BarBri. I'll tell you why in this video, why I did that, and I'll talk about some of the things I learned about it and from the experience and all that in this video, and why I have it again. Why did I sign up again with BarBri? And it's a real easy answer for that. It's you get a free retake. You have to pay for the books again. You pay your book deposit, but you mail the books back. You get your deposit back. So in essence, it's free to retake it again. But you have to take the very next exam. So if I took February 2020, which I did and failed, I have to study for the July 2020 exam, right? So the books that I have are for July 2019 and February 2020, the repeater bar, right? So for California, for July 2019 and February 2020, I have that set of books. I still have it. I kept the set of books. I normally don't get rid of my books when I'm still studying. If I haven't passed the exam and I'm not done with them, I really hang on to stuff. So here's the deal. These are for July, which we know is September of 2020. But for the July exam, I didn't plan on sitting for the exam. I did not have, there's no way. I was even going to take the February exam and then just be studying full bore nonstop for the February exam. I'm not going to, I was going to, I'm not going to be anybody's competition in California. I live in Florida, right? So the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to sit there and be nothing but studying every day until I pass the exam. That's just not going to happen. So, and that's the reason why I went to BarBri in the first place, because I wanted the military pounding it into my head kind of a education. BarBri apparently gave that to me. I'll talk about it in the video here. So what I did is I got the materials for the February 2020 exam, and I went through and I just went on blind faith. I didn't have a whole lot of faith in it as I started getting into it. I did the early start program. I did everything I possibly could. I did everything that they said to do within the time frames that they said to do it. I sent in sample written materials and stuff like that. But it's like really working on MBEs constantly. And I'm like, at some point I have to write an essay. And I did. I did some essays and stuff like that. And I was like, I need to do a lot more on the essays in California because my scores were dismal at best, right? So I put a plan together, a plan of action, plan of attack. I applied what I was doing to the February 2020 bar exam, and I got a 70 and a 65 on two of the essays, a 55 and I think two 50s. So the 55 and the 250s killed me, but what really killed me was 60 on the performance test. So I didn't have enough things at 65 and over to get me over the top. So on the written side, I was already doomed, and if I didn't get like 16 or 1700 on the MBE, I wasn't going to pass. I didn't get that, so I didn't pass. So here's the deal. My MBE scores, when I got done with the previous course, right, previous unboxing, when I got done with that and I get ready to take the February 2020 bar exam, I was very much of the feeling that I'm not going to pass. I'm just not prepared to where I want to be for this exam. There's no way I feel like I'm even prepared for this thing. There's no way I'm going to pass. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to take all the things I've learned from my previous experiences with it, because this is the third time I sat for it. So that was the second time I had done, so I'm going in for my third shot at the bite at the apple, shall we say. And I said, well, I'm going to take everything I learned and try to apply it the best I can. And a lot of that stuff worked out. Plus, my plan of attack before the exam, the last 4 weeks, I guess, before the exam, I really focused down hard on certain areas, and they proved themselves. I got a 70 and a 65, like I said, but I got a 60 on a performance test. That's one of the areas that I focused hard on because it's worth two essays. If I got a 65 or better, that would have put me in better position. I still don't think I would have passed, but it certainly would have been a whole lot closer. You know what I'm saying? The way I see it, I needed 30 more points on the essays to pass the written side of the exam. So if you get like a 60 to 65 on the performance test, the 65 is 5 points, but it counts as 2, so that's 10 points. So there's 10 points right there. So if I can get a 65 instead of a 60 on the PT, or a 70 instead of a 65, there's either 10 or 20 additional points right there in one task. And with the performance test, everything's right there in front of you anyway. If you're really, really good at figuring it out, finding it out, getting the gameplay down, and making the document that they want out of the performance test, you're probably going to score pretty well, right? And you have a good chance of passing the exam if you can score well in a couple of other areas. So that's where we came from. But the reason why I went with BarBri in the first place was because I figured it was going to be a hardcore military pounding the information into my head. Yes, it was, but there was parts of the program that didn't work well for me. May have worked well for other people, but it didn't work well for me. So I learned some things with how to use the program, and hopefully it'll pay off dividends big time in this time. They did last time. My MBE scores went up from the first time I took it on my own, where I did everything I planned on doing for the MBE and had a dismal score, to the second time I raised my MBE score by 95 points. Now, it's very difficult to raise your MBE score. It's difficult to do. They say you got what you got, you did what you did, and if you didn't do anything different, your score's not going to go up that much, 5, 10, 20 points, right? But I got 95 points better on my second attempt of the California bar exam on the MBE, which is the same across the country, than I did on my first attempt, right? On my third attempt, okay, so I raised it up 95 points for my second attempt. I rose it up another 113 points on my third attempt. So I moved up 95 points, then another 113. Now I needed 200, obviously, but still, I mean, I was able to raise my score that much more. If I can raise it like that much more again, I'm in. Okay, so on the MBE, I'll be in the passing side of the house, right? Now on the written side of the exam for California, I need to do some really focused work, but on my third attempt, I did some focused work on the performance test, got the highest score on the performance test I ever got, 60, not great, but it's not that, you need a 65 or better, in my opinion, on the performance test to have a good shot at passing. I didn't get that, and if you pass, you'll never know what your score was anyway. I got a 70 on one of my essays, which was awesome. That was incredible, but that's one of the areas that I focused down on. And then the other area happened to be business associations. I've owned every kind of business that they were talking about, or I've been every type of business almost that they were talking about. So I knew everything about business associations that they were asking about. On top of that, I also studied it specifically. So that just happened to be one of the subjects that I focused down on. Another subject that I focused down, I got a 70 on. I got a 65 on the business associations. I could have done better. I think I argued a little bit with it. That probably cost me a few points. And when I say a few points, that's 5. It goes from a 65 to a 70. On the performance test, I have to look at what I did and how I did it and compare it to the passing samples to see what I was missing, if anything, right? Sometimes it's just in the presentation. I thought I presented it well. I thought I was doing okay on a performance test. Everything's right in front of you, so I thought I had it. Let's go into the box and BarBri and see what they got for the. This is going to be the July. That's the problem here. July 2020 and February 2021. Now we already know July 2020 is going to be pushed back to September 9th and 10th. All right, and this is a good point to bring it up. Why in the world am I going to the September exam? Number one, they said it's going to be an online exam. So whatever that means, that's better. I did my degree through online education. Got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and my Juris Doctorate from online education. I might as well, if anybody stands a better chance of passing an online exam, it's me over people that went to an ABA school. So I should be in better position from that because I'm used to the whole operation of dealing with online preparation, studying, and testing. So I'm used to the idea. The other thing is, I wasn't going to sit for the July exam. It's just too close. I'm not going to sit there and study all day, every day until I pass the exams. This is going to happen. I'm going to prepare hard. Then I'm going to see what I did wrong if I failed, see what I did wrong, apply what I learned, and do the analysis and apply it and see what happens. So far, I've been making some really good jumps. Not nearly good enough because I haven't passed yet. But if I do it again, hopefully this time, the fourth time will be the charm, get the job done, and I'll be able to do it. So because the California Supreme Court said, hey, push this out to September because of COVID-19, I got more time built in for free. Not only that, the thing that really sold it for my wife, Misdemeanor, and I, was that they said, hey, you have to give these people the opportunity to get a 100% full refund on their fees for the test up until the day before the exam. That's never happened before. Now, in this July 2019 screw-up where they released the subjects, 4 days earlier or whatever, and that big snafu from the California bar, thanks so much for that one, the deal was they said, hey, look, if you want your money back, tell us before the exam starts and we'll give you your money back. Well, I was already sitting in California and I live in Florida. So because I'm already sitting in California, I've already spent all that money and I've tried to do everything I possibly could to get ready for the exam. I sat for it anyway. So for this one here, because I can bail out if I think that the California bar has screwed up again, really seriously bad, then I can bail out and say, look, just give me my money back and I'll do it at some other time down the road. Probably not February of 2021, but maybe July of 2021, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to think about it and see what goes on. But hopefully they don't screw anything up. The September 9th and 10th California bar exam goes off. It's online. It happens the way I hope it should, in a nice, fair, equitable way. And hopefully everybody does the right thing and everything and it gets done and I pass, right? So we'll see what happens on that. They may have sounded wrong, but whatever. Stick with it. So here's the deal. You get a Scantron sheet. This is for the simulated bar exam that you're going to take from BarBri. This is an excellent program, that simulated bar exam, they say in the program that, on the bar exam, and you'll know if you've ever sat for the bar exam and you're repeating it or whatever, then the MBE exam it's tough, right? But there's a whole bunch of questions in there that everybody's going to get right. Hey, what's your name? Oh, you got that right. Hey, congratulations. There's a point for you. Stuff like that. There's going to be stuff in there that's everybody's going to get it right. That's not where they cut us loose, okay? Where they start chopping us up and dicing us up is where they get into the really insanely hard stuff, right? So the BarBri simulated exam, BarBri pretty much says, look, if the bar exam is going to be like 4 5s and 6 and a couple of 7s and 8s, we're going to hit you with 7s, 8s, 9s, and a couple of 10s. We're going to nail you with some really hard stuff, and they did. And they hit you with some really hard stuff, and then they take the time in their lectures and everything online to go through and explain why the right answers are right, why the wrong answers are wrong. And in the process, I am pretty positive that I scored a whole lot better because of BarBri. I was not a happy camper going in to my third attempt, but it was the first time I tried BarBri, and they had a pretty good effect on my results. So I was very happy about that. So thanks, BarBri, on that one here. They give you a quick start guide, how to get into the program quickly. If you can take part of the Quick Start program, it costs nothing extra to do that. The Early Start program, jump on it. Start studying as soon as you possibly can. And they have a checklist for your book returns. I'm going to keep my book, so it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. They have a couple of spacers in here. And then they got into books. They got left and right side. The first thing is this the Convisor mini review for California. I was like, that's a crazy name for a book. Convisor. What the hell does a Convisor mean? What is that all about? It's a guy's name. Convisor is a guy's name. Okay, so Convisor apparently is a law professor somewhere. I looked him up once to see what in the heck is Convisor. Where'd that come from? It's a guy's name, like Hayden. Okay, my name Hayden. If it's a Hayden Law Review, hey, that's it. What's Hayden? What's that all about? It's a guy's name. All right, so that's his name. The next thing we got over here on this side is the essay testing for California. A whole lot of information. I'm going to mention a thing about all these big books here. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. This one here is the lecture handouts. This is probably the most important book. You don't return this one. No matter what, if you get the BarBri program and everything you're going through, you're rocking and rolling and everything else, get the job done every day, every way, this book, the lecture handout book, has a whole bunch of blank spaces in there you fill in. Okay? Give me a blank space, I'll write your name, right? So anyway, so that's what you do. You go through the lectures, you write down your notes, you get the job done on that if you need to, however you do it. Everybody learns better in their own ways. I would suggest filling out the blank lines in the notebook. It's a handbook. You keep this book, and you keep it. So it's good for review after the fact anyway. That's on the left side of the box when I open it up. This here is outlines for California. Now, again, I'm going to talk about these outlines and what they call them the big out. They refer to them as the big outlines. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a few seconds here. There's not too many books in here. Maybe 7 or 8, maybe. California Performance Test. Again, it says July 2020, which we know is September, and February 2021. We'll find out what that is on the back end. What this is this is a book where they give us a whole bunch of performance tests to work with. Some of them are the California Bar performance tests. I don't know which one. I really haven't looked through this yet. But a couple of them from the last book were from the California performance test because they changed it. From when they went from the 3-day to the 2-day, they changed it to a 90-minute performance test, and you got one of them. So you got 3 essays in the morning, 2 essays, and a performance test in the afternoon. That's the format of the California test right now as it sits, and the performance test is the last thing of the day. If you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 performance test would be the last thing you get, and the last thing you worked on during the day. You get an hour and a half, 90 minutes to get it done. It's a closed universe. The performance test is a closed universe. Everything is in the performance test that you need. BarBri gives us, I believe they give us about 12 different performance tests to work with. Some of them are from the multi-state performance tests, so they're MPTs. All right. Some of them are older exams, and they're hard to find. If you want to look for a sample passing answer on that, you'd have to go on the internet and look it up. I was able to find them, but I pretty much tried to stick specifically with the California performance test ones. Then they have a big book on MBE Practice Questions. I want to look at this real quick because there's a couple of things I remember about that. They do have the answers for them. I have to look and see if they have the answer. Okay, they have a practice set. They have a learning question set. Okay? In a learning question set, I got to make sure that they have the answers to these. Okay, so there's one. Yeah, okay. So what I don't see... Yeah, okay. So what I don't see is I don't see the answers to the learning set. These are where I had the biggest problem with BarBri from the first time. I spent a lot of hours going through these learning questions. Now, with, and they're all online. You got this whole big book here. You don't even need the book except for some lecture series that's in the middle of it, a workshop, different workshops that they have. They do have, so some of these things, they have the answers, the right and wrong, the answer key. And the answers and explanations they'll have in this book. So it's a pretty big book, right? It's a substantial book. So they have a lot of information in here for us. And they will have answers, and with the answers, they will also have the explanations, okay? So there's something that's pretty big text. They have an answer and an explanation. They tell you why the right answer is right, and they usually tell you why the wrong answer is wrong. Sometimes it's just obvious the wrong answer is wrong. But they're usually difficult questions. And these are questions that are made up by BarBri. But on the learning question set, I have to look through this in more detail, but I don't see instantly where they have an answer key for which ones are right or which ones are wrong. Now again, back to the online version of the program and the software. When you look and working on the program and everything else, these question sets will come up. You have an 8 question or 12 or whatever it is. They'll give you a bunch of questions, and they're trying to decide what you know and what you don't know. And they're using artificial intelligence to figure you out. The problem is when you get things wrong and you're going through and you're reviewing, they're supposed to take you to a part of the material on the computer, right? We'll take you to a part of the computer program, system, whatever, to demonstrate what the answer is, why this is the right answer. We'll explain what that issue is all about and explain it to you. And that's really great. But for me, for whatever reason, in the February 2020 process, I was not able to bounce back and forth easily between that. I have to back out of that practice session, go back in manually, go to the end before I can continue with the next set of questions. It's like they give you 8 questions, they figure out what you know, what you don't know, they give you 8 more questions, figure out what you know, what you don't know, see if you're understanding it, see if you're reviewing and then understanding, then they give you some more questions, and it's supposed to really help you build up your power base of knowledge, and I do believe it would work great. But the software for me was not working at all, and it was basically a huge time suck for me, so I'm like, I did it anyway, but I think it cost me far too much time, and it was not effectively and efficiently getting the information into my head that I needed. All right. They have outlines for the multi-state exam. That's the MBE. It's a pretty big book as well. This is basically like law outline kind of stuff and things of that nature. Again, I'm going to talk about these big books in a minute, and this is the simulated MBE that you take on that simulated MBE day. Now, the first thing I brought out was that package that had in it was the Scantron. So you can do the Scantron. You can actually go sit, and I don't think you can now because of the COVID-19 situation, but you could, for February 2019, I could make an arrangement with a local BarBri testing situation where they had the simulated MBE, and I could have sat in a big room with a bunch of people. Well, guess what? I've already done that a whole bunch of times. I don't need to go sit with a whole bunch of people and take an exam. I can do it right here out of the book, right? So I did it right there out of the book. And then when you submit, you can mail your Scantron in if you want to. Or me, I just bubbled it in online. The thing became available online for me. I just filled in what my answers were, and I got my head handed to me. Pretty much handed my head to me like nobody's business. All right? Let's go to these big things. This is the MBE questions. This is a different story. But I'll talk about these other ones, these other books here real quick. This is outlines for the multi-state. So outlines for the multi-state MBE. So you want to learn about the MBE. There's going to have a ton of information in here for you, right? There's another big book over here, essay testing for California. There's another big, there's 2 books. But that book there is a huge book too as well. And it's an essay for the California exam. When I'm going through the lectures, as a matter of fact, let's go through that. Let's go back to the lecture book. I'm going to put these back in the box here for a minute. As a matter of fact, it's like you don't really need any of the. You don't need almost any of these books. Everything is online, okay? So it's all online on a computer. By the way, since California Bar Exam is going to be online in September, which is July, right? September 2020, right? So that next exam is going to be in September. If you're doing the BarBri stuff online, practice online, you should be kind of set for being able to do something online as an exam anyway, because it's there, right? You know what I'm saying? And then this one here. This book here is the audio lecture series where you fill in the blanks. Professors are going to give, some really famous professors are going to give you some lectures on stuff. Terminitsky's in there, right? For constitutional law. Check it out. And you can go in there and you can do all this stuff on the internet. You can do it right there online. Go to the BarBri website, sign in, get your stuff going, and do that stuff online. All those videos you're going to watch on these lectures for the essay kind of materials, they're going to be telling you, hey, don't worry about those outlines. Don't dig into the outlines. Don't dig into the outlines. BarBri gives you all these big outlines. They give you these big books and everything else to cover you. You're covered, right? Everything you need is online. It's all there. It's all online, right? If you go through all the questions and you can bounce back and forth between, hey, you got that question wrong, here's the answer. This is why the right answer is right? So they're explaining that to you in the thing. If you can bounce back and forth effectively and efficiently, I could not, but if you can, then those are going to be very helpful to you. They weren't very helpful to me. They basically wasted my time, and they didn't help me as much as they could have if I could have been reading that answer without having to back out and go back in and wasting all that time doing that. I would have been in better shape. I probably would have scored higher on the exam too, right? So, but I see things that help me out a lot, and those are the things I'm going to focus on with BarBri. So there's things in there that really were very helpful to me in the BarBri program. All of it was online, and I can go through there and do that stuff. The MBE book is, by the way, because sometimes you want to read something and flip through the pages and everything, and traditionally, right, except for this September exam with California, it's going to be online somehow, some way. Right? The MBE may be online, which makes sense to me why it wouldn't be. I have no idea. But if you like flipping through the paper, you can do it on the book. If you want to do it online, you can do it online and work with the MBE questions that way as well. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Just track your progress on a piece of paper, whatever like that, and check and see how you did, right? And make sure that you know what you know so you can understand that there's things that you don't know that you really do want to know. And then you can focus on those areas as much as you want to, all right? Follow the program, do what they say, and make sure that your time's being used effectively and manage your time wisely, and you should probably be okay, all right? Whether or not you're going to pass California bar exam, that's a coin toss. I mean, they had a 28.6 or 26.8 pass rate, all right? COVID-19 comes out, everybody's losing their jobs, all these lawyers are getting fired and everything else. I wonder why you only have a 26.8 pass rate. Gee, I have my own suspicions, it's just rumor at this point, but hey, it is what it is. But anyway, so that's the deal. That's the unboxing of BarBri. You get a bunch of books in there, but a lot of the material can be done online only, right? You can do it all online. So get in there, get your job done, work on your materials, get the job done, and good luck to you in September for the California bar exam. I hope to be on the pass list, but if not, you live, you learn. If you didn't pass, okay, it's your first or second term, third term, fourth term, whatever, you've been there or time taking the exam and you don't pass, you have to be able to analyze what you did wrong, right? You have to be able to see why you got the scores you got, understand why you got the scores you got, be able to take that information, analyze it to pieces, apply what you learned from your failure to your hopefully next success. All right, that's the way it is. Look, I had to take that first year law students examination in California because I did online education. I had to take that thing 6 times. 5 times, for 4 times, my score was going up. I said, look, as long as my score is going up, it's a matter of when, not if. The 5th time I took the exam, my score went down on the first year exam. All right. So I could have quit. I could have walked away. I made a promise to myself. Said, look, as long as my scores keep going up, I'm going to keep going. Eventually I'll pass. Right. There was a gentleman who took the exam for 20 years, passed, still had a full law career, successful one at that. Okay. But he had taken 20 years before he passed the exam. You can look up on California. Right. So look it up. California attorney had a successful career in law. Took the exam 20 years before he passed it, all right? So I don't want to wait that long. I don't have that kind of time. He was a kid when he started. I was not, all right? So here's the deal. As long as my score kept going up, I was ready to take it. But my score dropped, I could have walked away. But something told me, something said, look, there's something that you've been overlooking time and time again. And it was. I found it. I found out what I was doing wrong. I applied it, and I passed the very next exam, okay? So my 6th time was a charm. Yay for me. But I still passed. I still finished my degree, still graduated, still got my Juris Doctorate, and I'm qualified to sit for the California bar exam. I've already sat for it 3 times. My score's been jumping up pretty good increments, okay? Not like the first year exam where they're just inching up. On this one here, they're jumping up pretty high, right? So I'm pretty happy about that. And the MBE, the scores are jumping pretty good just on the MBE alone, right? So that's it. So take what you learn from your failure, apply it to your future success, right? So do me a favor, drop a thumbs up on this video, give me a like. Below, hit the thumbs up button, make a comment below, let me know you came by to say hi, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate the growth on the network, and until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.